Greetings, my excellent friends. The Dead Monk welcomes you to Purgatory. I recently had the misfortune of watching Critters Attacks. This movie just came out on the SyFy channel, as well as being released on Blu-ray. If you don't know anything about the Critters movies, the first one came out in the mid-80s sometime. Little horror movie, with some comedy in there. Not quite as much as, say, Gremlins, which it was compared to a lot. But you have these little aliens, they have these little furry things, and they roll up into a ball, and then they just roll around, and they attack people, and they eat them. And yeah, that's Critters. The first one's alright. It's certainly not as good as Gremlins, but it's a typical 80s horror movie silliness. It's not bad. It's watchable. Then there was a sequel, Critters 2. That one was still fine. And then they went on to make just some really bad ones. Critters 3, let's see, that one I think is the worst, or at least was. Critters 3 is known for some terrible acting by one Leonardo DiCaprio, his very first movie. And he's really bad. Everyone's really bad, the movie's really bad. Don't watch Critters 3. And then after that there was Critters 4, basically Critters in space. It's also really bad though. I don't think it's as bad as 3. Anyway, those are the Critters movies. The first two are watchable. If you've never seen them, go for it. Now this new one, Critters Attacks, it's been more than 20 years since there was a Critters movie. But this new one, I guess it was supposed to be a reboot. So you don't need to have seen the other Critter movies, allegedly, for this one to make sense, although part of it wouldn't have made any sense to me if I had not seen the other Critters movies. And yeah, it's not very good. It definitely feels like a very low-budget SyFy movie, which is what it is. It's a low-budget SyFy movie. I think the big draw of it was they brought back Dee Wallace. She's in a lot of 80s movies, playing the mom. And she was in the first Critters movie, not in the other ones, but she was in the first one. Although she's not playing the same character in this one. She's not in it very much. Her character makes no sense at all. And, well, we may as well have some spoilers, because no one's going to watch Critters Attacks. Unless you are a die-hard Critters fan, I would say do not watch this movie. So yeah, on Dee Wallace. She's a bounty hunter. And the other Critters movies, you have bounty hunters. But the bounty hunters come to Earth. The Critters are aliens. They've crash-landed on Earth. And in the previous Critters movies, or at least some of them, the bounty hunters show up, chasing them to kill them off, because they're bounty hunters. And in this one, you have Dee Wallace. She's just there on Earth already. Her name's Aunt Dee. And she's just there already. She's tracing some signals. She has this high-tech gear that can somehow detect that the critters have landed. And then she has these space guns that there's no setting this up. It's like, who is she? What's the deal? It's not like she's coming from another planet. It's okay, you have this weird technology. Alright, I get it. That's fine. No, she's just some human woman that just comes into town from wherever she lives and has some space guns. It makes no sense. They don't set it up at all. It makes no sense. And if you've seen the other Critters movies, you just know, yeah, whatever, bounty hunters. But here, like I said, if you have not seen them, this is nonsensical. It's been a while since I've seen the Critters movies, so I feel watching this one that it had some gore, but it's kind of toned down from the other ones. That's how it seemed to be, maybe so it could be on the SyFy channel. So that was a little disappointing. The first couple movies had some pretty good gore. They bring back the big critter ball from, I believe, Critters 2. I don't think they did it in the first one, but all the critters, they can form into little balls themselves and roll around. Or in Critters 2, they form this giant ball, and it rolls around and, it's just a giant critter ball. It rolls around and eats people. So they have a very similar scene from Critters 2 in the new one, where in Critters 2 the big ball rolls over some guy and it just devours him instantly, and as soon as it rolls over him, all that's left is a skeleton. They do almost the same thing in this one, except they don't show the skeleton. So yeah, as I said, toning down on the gore a bit. So our main characters, you have Drea. She's she's probably around 20, 18 to 20, somewhere in that range. Works at a sushi restaurant, and she's babysitting some kids, and has her brother with her, and these are the people that are running around trying to escape the critters. And almost everyone else gets eaten. And this is one of the things I thought was really bad in the movie, is that almost everyone, just as soon as they encounter the critters, they're dead. Almost everyone. But then these four, well, Drea, and then these three kids that are supposed to be like 9 to 12 years old. That's what they're supposed to be. Oh, and then one other, a former friend of hers that's about her age. So a couple 20-year-old girls, and then a 12-year-old boy, a 12-year-old girl, and a 9-year-old boy. They're able to fight off the critters, a bunch of them, with just some garden tools. They have rakes and shovels and stuff, or they just punch and kick them, and they're able to fight them off, whereas everyone else in the town, no, they're just eaten immediately, and it was really bad. It was really bad. Then they had a good critter. There's never been a good critter before. So it was kind of like Gremlins. I mean, it was more like Gremlins than the original one, which was, compared to Gremlins, was like Gremlins. Because yeah, you had this good critter that they find in the woods and take it home with them, and it's bleeding a little bit with this green blood, and they try to clean it up and stuff, take care of it. But it's the good critter, and it's able to kill any of the other critters. So it's like Gizmo on steroids. And it was, that whole aspect seemed pretty stupid. The big question the movie left me with was Chef. And that was his only name. The sushi restaurant where Drea works, so her boss is Chef. And when they take his van and drive off to get away, they drive to the college, he stays behind for whatever reason. Well, his nephew, I think it's nephew, had been eaten by the critters, so he stays behind. He wants revenge. And they drive off, and he walks out with a couple of sharp knives, and you see him hack one or two critters, and then that part just kind of goes away. Did he survive? That's my big question. Because I wanted to see Chef out there kicking some ass with his knives. And you got to see a little bit, and then that was it. So yeah, that's my question. Did Chef survive? That's all I care about with this movie. Alright, there's not a whole lot more to say about this, so as I said, unless you're a hardcore Critters fan, don't watch this. It's really bad. I would say even for a SyFy movie it might be bad, although all SyFy movies are bad. SyFy's made some okay shows, but their movies are absolute rubbish. Alright, so don't watch it. Find something else to watch instead. But if you do, don't say I didn't warn you. Oh, and I said before Critters 3 was the worst. It's tough. This one might now be the worst. I'd be hard-pressed as to whether I'd rather watch this again or Critters 3 again. Ooh. The correct answer is don't watch either. Unless you want to see Leo at his worst. Alright, so that's it. Yeah, nothing else to say on this one. Don't watch it. Instead, just go out there and be excellent to each other. Farewell.